Good morning. It's my pleasure to have here with me Louis J Santore, Esquire. And Mr. Santore is a prominent member of the Hudson County Bar Association and the Oral History Committee of the Hudson County Bar Foundation has asked me to conduct an oral history of Louis Santore. My name is Chuck Kenny. I am a member of the Hudson County Bar Association. I'm a trial lawyer practicing here in Hudson County, and it is really my privilege and honor to sit here today in the beautiful Brennan Courthouse in Jersey City interviewing Lou Santore.
And just call me Lou. That's all everybody calls me. No one calls me Louis. They only did that when I was a kid. My parents used to say Louis if I did something wrong, but just call me Lou.
All right, well, we go way back. Lou Santore and I've known Lou since 1988, and so I know a lot professionally about Lou, but I also know a lot of personal things about Lou because I happen to be Lou's son-in-law. So this adds an extra dimension to this interview, and it adds an extra privilege also and significance to me to be able to sit here and interview my father-in-law for the purposes of remembering the Hudson County Bar Association, Hudson County lawyers, and also lawyers throughout the state of New Jersey. So we know that you're a senior member of the Hudson County Bar Association, and we know that you are a trial lawyer. So how long have you been a trial lawyer?
Well, I've been a trial lawyer probably starting at the end of 1968. When I graduated Seton Hall Law School in 1968, I passed the bar, and I got a job with the Newark firm. They were paying the most at the time, and when I say the most today, it would be like peanuts what was paid. I took that job, and I always wanted to be a trial lawyer, all right? But they didn't see it that way for some reason. They wanted me to work in the office or to work on doing different things, workman's comp. I remember the first time that probably was late 1968, I got to go to the courthouse, and that was Essex County. It was a Newark firm. And I went there to mark the case ready for one of the partners, okay? And at that time, the judge was Giuliano.
And who was he? He was the presiding judge?
The assignment judge used to answer the call. Actually, the assignment judge used to answer the call in all of the counties until we got the presiding civil judge and things. But he was ferocious. There were stories about him that I'm not going to even repeat here. But my story is that I went in to mark the case ready hold. He said ready hold. He said a few other things, and he called me into chambers with the other attorney and said, "I'm assigning you to trial." He said, "We're going to settle this case or you're going to trial." So me, being dumb and stupid as the guy said, "Fine, Judge, I want to go. I'm thinking I want to be a trial attorney, so I'll go to trial." So I was representing an infant, and we settled the case, okay? And Giuliani was very happy. We settled the case, and he sent us up to the 6th floor, I remember. He said, "You go up there and do a friendly." So Jim Flick was my adversary. He's deceased now, I guess a few years. So in the elevator, I asked Jim, I said, "I want to ask you a question." He said, "Sure, anything." I said, "What is a friendly?" So he said, "Oh my God."
So I suppose you learned quickly what a friendly was?
What a friendly was. But I didn't stay there that much longer. I think in January of '69, I got a job with Herbie Ziff. Okay, he's deceased, so his son Billy Ziff is still alive.
Where was that job?
In Jersey City.
And what was the firm?
It was originally Carey, Knappel, and Ziff. Carey was a former governor, but he was, at the time I went there, he wasn't doing any work at all. And Herb Ziff was one of the excellent trial attorneys in Hudson County. At that time, I would say Hudson County probably had not only the best bench, but they had the best bar. There were so many good trial attorneys.
And that was in 1968 and 69?
I probably started with and it was Ziff and Yakavino would probably finally got to do that. And Alan Zavodnik, I know everybody, he's still around. I replaced him. That's when he went on his own, so I replaced Alan as an associate.
Well, tell me this. You said a couple times already that you always wanted to be a trial lawyer.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What did you mean by that? What do you think a trial lawyer was when you were a young man? And what inspired you, or did someone inspire you to want to be a trial lawyer?
Well, originally my father wanted me to be an engineer. But,
So tell us about that.
well, after high school, after graduate high school, I went to Stevens Tech. I don't even think I finished one semester. I was not going to be an engineer. I didn't like it. I had a problem. I damaged in manufacturing processes. I damaged a lathe or some machine.
At school?
At school, yeah. So I wasn't doing very well at all.
So what happened at that point in your life? Did something happen that changed your path?
Yeah, that's when I decided to join the Army, which I did.
So tell us about that. So you started college, you decided for various circumstances that wasn't where you wanted to be for the next 4 years, and you joined the U.S. Army.
Yes, I guess I would have done anything not to become an engineer or stay in engineering college. Yeah, and I joined the Army, and
So what year was that you joined the Army?
that was probably the late 1950s.
So the late 1950s, you decided to join the Army, and how did that go?
I had 2 years active duty. I was overseas.
Where did you spend time?
I spent time in Germany, which is another story. When I joined the Army, I scored very high on the aptitude test, so they wanted me to become an officer. So I told my father about that, and he said, "Not now." He said, "They're sending advisors to Vietnam and everything." He said, "And you're 18 and a half years old." He said, "Who's going to listen to you?" All right. So I told the warrant officer at that time that I did not want to go become an officer. So he was annoyed, and he put me on 24-hour KP. This was at Fort Dix. Okay, before we got shipped out to another place. And after one day, he asked me if I changed my mind. I said no. I said, "I'm sorry, sir." I said, "But you have to understand, I'm more afraid of my father than of you." The next thing I knew, I was heading to Fort Hood, Texas, for Ranger Basic, which I completed.
So you completed that, and then ultimately.
And after that, they put me in the armored division. I ended up with tanks, and I was sent to Germany. Actually, the Army thought the next war at that time wasn't going to be in Vietnam. It wasn't going to expand that much. They thought it was going to be in the Middle East. But of course, it didn't turn out that way.
So what did you do in Germany?
I was with Headquarters Company, 32nd Tank Battalion, 3rd Armored Division. And I eventually drove a tank. I was in charge of M48 Patton tank. Okay.
Did you meet anybody or see anybody famous while you were in Germany?
Well, when I was leaving,
Right. What happened there?
after 2 years, this is a crazy story, but we're getting ready to go back to the States, okay? And it's probably a little over 2 years. And the German bands are playing like crazy outside. You know, they're playing, and we figured they were giving us a good send-off.
You thought you were getting a good
Yeah,
send-off.
but it wasn't.
What was it?
Elvis Presley. Actually, Elvis Presley served in the same Headquarters Company, 37th Tank Battalion that I served in. So they were welcoming him.
So that was.
Although he was allowed to live off base in Bad Nauheim, where I never got that opportunity. I had to stay in the concern.
So Elvis Presley replaced you in Germany.
Well, I don't know if I'd say that, but he probably did.
That's great.
And I think he was making much better money and had a better job in Headquarters Company, but he was an enlisted man too.
So you remained safe and sound in Germany. You were honorably discharged, and then you decided to do what?
Well, I had a reserve time too.
Okay.
Because they weren't letting anybody
Sure.
leave. They didn't know whether they were going to call you up again because the war was increasing in Vietnam at the time.
So what did you decide to do when you
Well,
came back?
I came back. I went to college. I was able to finish college in 3 years.
And why was that?
None of my credits counted from
Right.
Stevens State, but I had to start all over again.
What did you do during
Well,
college?
I wanted to go to law school, so I went to
Where did you go to college?
Fairleigh Dickinson,
And you graduated with what degree?
a BS degree.
And what did you do while you were in college?
Well, I went to college days and I worked in Maxwell House in Hoboken at night.
And what we know
In the
folks from Hoboken know.
quality assurance office.
So what was Maxwell House in Hoboken at that time? Today it's a bar. So
Well, there was a bar called Maxwell's Tavern there too, which was just across the street from Maxwell House. It made coffee, you know, and I was inspecting coffee, doing various things. That's where I learned how dangerous caffeine is in the labs there that we had. It was better to drink decaffeinated coffee.
you're not a coffee drinker.
I drink decaffeinated coffee, but not regular coffee.
Did you stop drinking coffee back in the days of Maxwell House?
Yes, when some of the tests we performed.
Sure. So then you graduated college, you got your degree, and then you decided to do what?
Well, I was planning to go to law school. I applied to a number of law schools, but I got married too. Pat wasn't going to wait for me any longer.
So what year did you get married?
1963.
So 1963, you were in school at the time, law school?
No, I was still in college.
You were in
Right,
college. So did anything particular inspire you to want to go to law school at that time?
A few things, I guess. My father was a union president, so I used to.
In Union City?
Yes. So I used to get involved, even when I was in high school, helping him with where some of the members had problems, legal problems, things like that. And then in the Army, I continued to do some of that. I used to help some of the guys who got in trouble in the Army. You know? And I said I can law. I'd like to be a lawyer. I don't want to be an engineer, even though my father wanted me to be an engineer.
You talked about helping people. Did it make you feel a certain way when you were helping these people?
Yes, I mean, you enjoy helping somebody.
And so you were married to.
Actually, Stephanie was born at the time too.
While you were in law school.
Yes, while I was in law school, I had her, and then Michelle came a little while later, so I had two children at that time.
That's your other daughter, and then you had
no, Michelle wasn't born until after I graduated from St. Paul Law School.
And then you have your son.
Yeah, right.
Lou.
And then I have two granddaughters now, thanks to you, with Christine and Rachel.
So right now we have you're attending Seton Hall Law School, and you mentioned your father, you mentioned Union City, we didn't mention West New York yet, but you are a Hudson County native.
Yeah,
So tell us about your early life, your early years, and your family background, and your your football times.
Well, I was never that good, so my father, as I said, his name was John. He was a union president. He had an athletic background in baseball. They called him Chappie. That was his nickname. My mother was June. West New York, I loved West New York at the time. I grew up in it. I went to number 4 school, then to Memorial High School. There were 2 other members in Hudson County Bar, Jerry Miller and Lenny Myerson, that went to Memorial also.
Were you in their years?
No. Lenny probably graduated in 48 or something like that, but he's still active, he's still practicing. And Jerry graduated, I think, a year after me or something like that. We're close.
So born and raised in Hudson County, always had your law office in Hudson County?
Yes, but I also had one in Red Bank too.
Sure.
But it was too difficult to handle two offices in 2 different counties. I mean, I had one attorney, John Madden, working for me in Monmouth, and then I had different associates in Hudson County. But and then I concentrated on Hudson County. All my ties, all my best friends and family all came from Hudson County.
What does it mean to you to be a Hudson County trial lawyer?
A lot. When I was a young attorney, and I'm so glad I went with Herbie Ziff. Herbie knew I wanted to try cases. He sent me to court all the time, and he used to tell me if he sent me on a motion or to answer a calendar call, he said, go in the other courtrooms. There were so many good trial attorneys in Hudson County, and they were. Jimmy McGovern, Walter French, Bill Murray, Herbie Ziff, of course, Bill Rovetto. They were all really good trial attorneys.
So you spent time watching those attorneys?
I mean, Judge Bildy used to always tell me that plagiarism is the finest sort of flattery. And, you know, every trial lawyer will learn something by watching a trial of another trial lawyer or reading a brief from another trial lawyer. And that's the way it goes. So,
are there any judges or colleagues in your past?
Let me just finish with the attorneys. Herbie Ziff was a mentor to me. He was exceptional. Okay, that's on the defense side. Now, on the plaintiff side, it was Rocco Lopiano. Now, Rocco had a office in Journal Square. I was in 921 Journal Square with her, and Rocco was across the street down the block a little. I got friendly with him. He was probably, him and Frank Sorum were the two best plaintiff's attorneys at the time. I don't know if everyone remembers Frank Sorum. He kept practicing, I think, into his 90s, if I'm correct. But Rocco had a terrific medical library, all right, and we got friendly. And he used to let me come over, and that's when I started really doing plaintiff's cases. I would read the medicals, and Herb let me do plaintiff's cases.
So I wonder if it's a coincidence you mentioned Rocco Lopiano. You're aware of the name of my firm is Lopiano, Kenny and Stinson. We are an office in Hoboken. We essentially do trial work, and that's where your office is, in with my office currently today. So you see Chris Lopiano, who's Rocco's son, on a regular basis.
I see Chris every day. I have to say something. Rocco Lopiano was the best dresser Hudson County ever had. I mean, he used to wear almost capes and clothes.
So now are you setting me up to say something about Chris?
Yeah. I told Chris, if your father saw you now, he would be furious.
So Chris does not follow in his father's footsteps regarding his attire. Is that fair to say?
He does not.
All right. Enough said about that, right? So anyway, but we know now that, and I don't know that we've said it, but you've been practicing law here actively in Hudson County and throughout the state, really, for over 50 years now.
Well, it turned 50 this year.
Right. So
I don't want to say more than 50.
So
it turned 50.
You graduated from Seton Hall Law School in 1968. And you've been an active, respected member of the trial bar since then, doing trial work.
Yeah.
So I had the privilege and the fun part of my day a couple weeks ago to attend a graduation at Seton Hall Law School for the current graduating class. But what did they do that was special for you that day?
Oh, it was wonderful. It really was something I enjoyed.
Well, they honored the class of 1968.
They honored our class, 1968, and unfortunately there was about 40 or 44 classmates of mine that are no longer around that I found, but Judge Shudo was there, and he and I studied together. We were of a group.
Judge Shudo from Bergen County was a classmate, friend, and colleague of yours, and he was with you that day?
Yes, he was. And I saw Professor Diab. Now, I had Professor Diab, you had Professor Diab, my daughter had Professor Diab in law school. He's got I think he's 91 or 92, and he's still...
Professor Diab actually led the procession of all the graduates, and Seton Hall honored you in such a fashion that you walked with a gown on,
Yes, I did.
and you walked down the aisle and sat on the stage with the other dignitaries. Actually, the graduates sat in the audience, but you being one of the special guests.
Also with the Cardinal, too.
The Cardinal was there and spoke, and other members of the hierarchy of Seton Hall Law School spoke, and they actually announced you individually by name, and you were able to stand and be recognized for that. How did that make you feel?
It made me feel great. Well, it made me feel great, but it also made me realize I've been practicing for 50 years, and I'm getting somewhat older. But it was fun to see, and I met a lot of the friends of mine there who are still going, and so many of them are still practicing.
Well, it was a big crowd. So I wanted to commemorate this with, it says reserved for the class of 1968.
Okay.
And I brought this here as evidence. We're evidence-based practice, and you got to prove your case by evidence. And this is demonstrative evidence, not high technology, but nonetheless demonstrative evidence. So it was reserved for the class of 1968. And
I'm still not mentioning my age.
well, notice we didn't do that. I'm under strict instructions, and I'm complying with all the instructions.
Wow.
So this is Seton Hall University School of Law, class of 2018 commencement exercises with a special recognition to the class of 1968, and Lou Santore is recognized by name, indicating that he was honored that day. And it was really a beautiful event, and it was in Newark at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, and we actually give recognition to Seton Hall Law School for that.
It was good. They did an excellent job.
So you graduated from law school and you began practicing. Were you always, you're a sole practitioner now, pretty much the entire time that I've known you, and even prior to that in the 80s, I'm confident that you were a sole practitioner. There was a time that you had partnership?
Oh yeah, Bill Servo, who's deceased, he was one of my classmates too. When Bill Murray, who was another excellent trial lawyer, he had basically all the state farm defense cases in Hudson County. The overflow would go to Rooney Viduto. And Bill Murray was excellent as a trial attorney, but he died very young. He died young. When he died, Bill Servo had been working for him. And Bill asked me to come in and go partners with him and do the state farm cases. Now, Mr. Murray had a habit of tying up the calendars. He tied up Hudson County's calendar, and he tied up Bergen County's calendar. So Judge Larner, the old people remember, Judge Larner was the assignment judge.
Here in Hudson
in
County.
Hudson County, okay? And,
What year was that approximately?
oh God.
Was that in the 70s?
It was in the 80s, I believe. And what he did, he wanted to clean up his calendar, so he assigned me to Judge Builder. Okay, and Builder made a great impression on there. I always liked Judge Builder. Many people complain about him, I never did. And Bill Servo went before Larner. Now, that particular year, the year that Murray died, probably a little bit into the next year, I tried, I would say 30 to 35 cases to completion before a jury. Because State Farm, when they got hit with this, they said, we're not settling anything. So we tried one case after another. And I got very friendly with Judge Builder because I was there every day. And Servo, same thing with Larner.
Were these trials, the Brennan Courthouse was not open again yet, right?
Oh, it was open at that time.
It was open at that time. Were you trying these cases in the Brennan Courthouse or in what we call the new courthouse, which is the administration building?
Well, it depended where I got assigned, but most of my cases was in the Brennan Courthouse with no, I'm sorry, it was in the old courthouse before Judge Builder when he was there. Okay, and I was on the 8th floor.
The administration
8th or 9th
building.
floor, yeah.
So you've tried so many cases. I don't know that if you've ever.
I tried a lot of cases, and one thing I like to encourage young attorneys is to realize that they can have fun trying cases. They can have fun doing depositions. Everything is different. they'll meet different people, they'll meet different judges, and in the Inns of Court, I did one thing, and it was on a case I had. It was a defense case, not too long ago. The case was probably about 4 years ago, and Jonathan Coles was the plaintiff's attorney. Now, this is when my office was still in Secaucus. And what I learned was to go on the internet and research the other party, the plaintiff. I guess Jonathan didn't expect me to do that, but I did it. And I found out that this lady who was shown the attorney believed she was inhabited by 39 spirits. Okay? So Jonathan, would you remember my library in the conference
Sure.
room up there? Jonathan's getting very comfortable leaning against the window, and I'm asking all the normal questions with him. Finally, I said to her, "Do you believe you're inhabited by spirits?" And before he could do anything, she said, "Yes." So we couldn't object. I got all those spirits in. I still have I think I gave you a copy of the transcript. It's
I read
hysterical.
it. I read
She
it.
names them all. So after the deposition is over, Jonathan Coles goes back to his office, and he calls me. He says, "Lou, I'm objecting to that deposition." I said, "Why?" He said, "You didn't swear in any of the spirits."
So I guess,
So there's things you know, really, that was an exceptional case, and it's funny. I ended up having to try that case, but Jonathan moved, he was relieved of counsel, and an Essex County lawyer came in. I won't mention his name, though, it's a good lawyer. And I beat him on that before Judge Joe Child.
so I think one of the points of you telling that story is that, number one, you have to be prepared for anything, I would think, and number two, you can have fun with the unexpected or the unknown. And I know you've always told me this, to have fun and enjoy what's coming before you.
You have to enjoy yourself.
Has that changed in the practice of law, that whole approach, and is that why you're talking about having fun? Did that aspect of law change at all, and if so,
Well,
how?
The practice has changed, but it's changed because more cases are settled now. Even the insurance companies settle cases that I never expected to settle. The only lawyers now that try a lot of cases are medical malpractice defense attorneys and medical malpractice claims attorneys, which I'm still doing. But a lot of the other cases, they don't, how can I say this? I think a lot of the attorneys, though, claims and defense, prepare cases for settlement rather than trial.
So
which
do
I
you
think
have-
we shouldn't do.
Do you have any practice tips relating to that aspect of trial work or your practice that you would give to other attorneys so they
Yeah.
can come away with something?
Number one, I think you should prepare every case for trial. Prepare it like you're going to try it, because sometimes I'm in a case and an attorney will tell me, "I never thought I'd have to try this case." I said, "Well, you know, look at the fact situation."
So prepare it as if it's going to be
Yeah,
tried.
and I think you got to decide what is the most important part of the trial. Is it the opening? Many people, well, Judge Stern always said the opening. I believe that. And other attorneys like Norman Coffin will say, no, it's the summation. I'm not sure Norman and I usually argue about that in the Inns of Court.
So do you have a favorite part of trial? Opening, closing, direct, cross, other aspects of a trial. Do you have a favorite part?
I love it all. I have to say, I think the opening is important, you know, because if you can get jurors to make a decision on the opening, and really feel comfortable with it, it's hard to change their mind. And in the summation, some attorneys believe that the summation is the most important. My feeling is that the summation, or the final argument, they call it the final argument occurs in the jury room. It doesn't occur by the attorneys. The final argument is in the jury room. So if you can start from the opening and keep going, and you're going to know if some jurors aren't favoring your position, they'll look one way or the other.
You can certainly get a feel from it, right? And what do you do when you see that happening? What do you do, if anything, to adjust?
Well, I do one of two things. I try to convince them somehow, thinking of what they want, or the ones I know that I've convinced already, I concentrate on them. For example, like recently I tried a case before Judge Alessandro before he got moved back to family. And the judges always ask you at the beginning, will you take 6 jurors instead of 8? And I always say, I'll wait until after we sum up, I'll decide. On that case, I knew I had every juror. I said, I'll take 8 jurors. And I got on the questions to the jury, they favored me on all the questions, so I knew. But most times I would say, take only 6. And if you're worried about something, take only 6.
So, and that's a debate among trial lawyers and practitioners regarding sometimes ratios and statistics, but my takeaway.
That's my opinion.
Right.
My opinion.
What I'm listening to is a lot of this has to do with your intuition as you're standing before a jury and taking in information and basing your judgment from what you see.
Absolutely. And one thing is, which I made this mistake a lot of times, especially on cross-examination, when you've done it and you got your points across, sit down, which I haven't done on occasions, and I paid the price for that.
Well, it's funny that you said that, because I'm pretty confident you know this, we're sitting in the Brennan Courthouse, and there's a great saying in the front doors here at the Brennan Courthouse, right? And
I know exactly what I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Judge Bilder used to say that to me all the time. You stand well,
right.
Stand still. He said it, I argued a case on appeal with him, and after he asked all the questions in another appellate judge, he looked at me and I said, I know what you're thinking, Judge. I'm standing still now, I'm not gonna say anything else, and I won the appeal. But he always used to say that.
Right, and the sign, as we walk through the beautiful doors in Brennan, says precedence makes law. When you stand well, stand still. And so I think that's a good lesson.
Absolutely.
And Judge Bilder told you that over the years?
He told me that so many times, and I've handled a lot of cases. I remember I was appointed special civil counsel when Senator Mayor Musto.
So let's talk about that for a moment. So you, back in the 80s, were appointed special civil counsel in Union City.
Right.
What was your role there?
Well, I had to handle all the defense cases. Everybody and his neighbor was suing the Board of Education.
And that was for the Board of Education?
Civilly, yeah.
And so you handled those civil cases in federal court?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I was involved in the federal court, but mainly in Hudson County. I was handling the civil cases where they were suing the board. I mean, I had to appear before Judge Sarek in the federal district court, and Judge Ryan was handling most of it in Hudson County. So
we didn't talk about this, but we talked about 50 years of practice, but your practice is still active, and you're in Hoboken now, and you're trying cases, as you say, whenever the proper circumstances arise.
Yeah, I have a medical malcase that's going to come up August 15th, but I think it's going to go up probably till September.
So
that's in Bergen County.
So you've been here trying these cases for 50 years. Do you still look eager to trying your next case?
Yes.
And why is that?
I still enjoy doing it. I have fun doing it.
So
the only other thing I have fun doing is playing golf.
Right, and I was gonna bring that in. So you have fun. Basically, when I think of you as trying cases and playing golf. Is that reasonable?
That's me.
That's fair to say, right?
Yeah.
So before golf, you played a lot of tennis.
Yes, I did.
So when did you pick up golf?
When I tore my rotator cuff on my right arm. I played in the 50 Nationals. Okay, and
so you were about 50 years old when you started playing golf?
52.
And now you play almost every day.
And I tore up one knee and then the other knee.
So that prevented you from playing tennis?
Yeah, on tennis, Judge Humphreys was the assignment judge here.
Sure.
When with the Musto trial and indictments and all those things. He was the best tennis player Hudson County ever produced. I could not beat him. And before I played golf, I used to play the tennis. He had such ball sense. Whenever you hit a ball, he was there, no matter where. And he's a great judge. He's another. And there's a funny story with him. on the Musto, when I was doing the Musto cases, I subpoenaed Rudy Orlandini, who was the mob guy who turned state's evidence. Now, he was in the witness protection program. So the sheriffs came to us and the plaintiff's attorney on the thing, and they were gonna fly us to Washington first and fly us someplace else to do a deposition. So doing all of these things, I found out that the mob guys knew about this, right? So I went in to saw Judge Humphreys and I said, Judge, I know we have the deposition scheduled, but I think discretion is the better part of valor. I said, I'm gonna adjourn the deposition, which I did.
And that's what you did. Good.
And I settled that case.
So going back to tennis and golf, do you have more trophies and awards from tennis or from golf?
I love sports, okay? And once you start playing golf, it's a compulsion. I love it. I mean, I could go to sleep with my driver.
So we know that you achieved a hole in one, right? You're very proud of that.
I love that.
You have the flag
Yeah.
in framed, and we also know that you've been a certified civil trial attorney for a long time.
Yes.
And we know that less than 2% of all the lawyers in New Jersey are certified civil trial attorneys.
I didn't know that figure.
Okay, so, and that's the figure. You know, the population of New Jersey lawyers continues to grow. But even though there's so many lawyers, do you feel a sense, still these days, a sense of collegiality, a sense of closeness among the bar, especially in Hudson County?
Absolutely, in Hudson County. You know, and I can't speak, in Bergen County too.
Well, we're not excluding any other counties, but we're talking about the special significance to you of Hudson.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I do. And we try to continue that with the ends of court, with the younger attorneys.
Again, I brought more demonstrative evidence, and this was a pleasure. In 2016, Lou Santore was recognized by the Hudson County Bar Association, the Professionalism Committee, as the 2016 Professional Lawyer of the Year. And so I was there. Again, I had the privilege of doing your introduction. We were in Bayonne. We had a great time, and it was a recognition of years and years of not only being a trial lawyer, but importantly, and important to me, as a professional lawyer, meaning the highest ethics standards, the highest professionalism standard. What did that mean to you when you received this award?
Well, it meant a lot. I really appreciated it. I appreciated the people who selected me. I appreciated the dinner. It was good. I enjoyed it.
You're also a master at the Inn of Court.
Yes, that's right.
And you attend meetings there, and you're able to hone, even this day, you would agree that you hone your practice skills.
Yeah.
You develop your skills and you give advice to younger lawyers.
You still learn something. I learn something every day. And, I learn something when I go to a seminar too. You know, you can always learn something.
So, what did you learn from this? This is another demonstrative evidence I brought. It's a Star Ledger article, and the headline is "The Case That Took 16 Years to Settle." And they're talking about courts in New Jersey working to cut a huge backlog. And this was a little bit of time ago. Would you tell us about that?
Well, I was representing AIG, insurance company. U.S. Mineral was suing them. Okay, it was different policy language and things, and I must have got that case in '89 and '90, and it went 16 years from there before it settled.
So you represented AIG
Insurance company,
at that point, and it was in state courts here in New Jersey. Obviously, it took 16 years.
Right.
So, were you involved in all 16 years?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And so what was the, and I think the takeaway on this, and maybe reflection of your success, what was the demand going in, and if you want to talk about that, what was the settlement?
I guess I can talk about it now. The demand was $40 million. Judge Cramp, I think, was the last assignment judge on it. Oh, actually, he was going to try it too, in Bergen. He started picking the jury, and they ended up settling the case for $2 million.
And so when was that approximately?
Well, 16 years from 1989. So what are we talking about?
So it ended a while ago. So I want to thank you for your time, for being here today. I think we covered a lot about your background, your ties to Hudson County, the influence that judges and other lawyers have had on you, and perhaps the influence that you've had on them. And we look forward to seeing you at your next trial, hopefully here even in Hudson or Bergen or one of the other counties in New Jersey.
Well, I got one coming up in Hudson, one coming up in Bergen. I'll keep doing this. I still have fun doing it. I just don't see myself as somebody that would just retire and not do anything. I'd be completely bored. I'd probably play golf every day, and then I'd have trouble at home.
You work and play golf every day.
Well, I wish I could now.
Almost.
All right, thank
Well,
you.
it's definitely a pleasure to have spent this time with you. It's a privilege to be your son-in-law, and I really appreciate the inspiring words and all the inspiration you've given me and everybody else. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and it's an honor to have you as a son-in-law.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.